Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to a hot mic on this Monday morning, the 13th of July, 2026. Hope everybody survived the weekend and get ready for, apparently, we're heading to Vegas this week. That Vegas decided to come to us for the next few days because it was gosh awful hot yesterday. Saturday was no walk in the park, and apparently it's going to be even hotter today, hot tomorrow, and then just flat out gross the rest of the week. So if you like this kind of weather, then you're A-okay. You're on board. Let's go. If you're like the rest of us that are normal and 80 degrees with a light breeze would be okay, we are suffering. And meaning the ACs are working overtime. So to all the power grids out there, we got our fingers crossed that nothing doesn't work here. Because I know we saw there was some power outage overnight in Fargo. So for any of those affected by that, hopefully the windows were open and nice and cool, or you got a basement you can go to because it is nasty out there. But we will do our best to stay cool in here, and we got a lot to get to. It's a Monday morning back here from the weekend. Thanks to Sam for filling in for me on Friday. Made a quick trip down to the Twin Cities, which was fun. Get to that here in just a little bit. We went to the Twins game on Saturday. First time we were at Target Field in a couple of years, and had my own thoughts on crowd size. The ball club itself is the official All-Star break is here, and we'll get to that just a little bit. I mentioned it's a busy day. North Dakota State has called a press conference for 10 o'clock this morning up inside the Sanford Health Athletic Complex, where Athletic Director Matt Larsen, head football coach Tim Polasek are going to be joined by Gate City Bank President Kevin Hanson. If you want to put two and two together, this is about jersey patches. Talked about this for a while. It is now reality that Gate City and North Dakota State are in agreement on a new deal that the Gate City logo will be adorning the Bison jerseys, not just football. This is for all sports, I've been told, but we're going to carry that live for you here in the second hour of our show. So that's coming up at 10 o'clock from inside the shack. This is a big week for NDSU. And you're saying, well, it's the middle of July. What are you talking about? Well, this is a huge deal today. This is a multi-year, multi-million-dollar agreement, I've been told, that's being announced today. So that's nothing to sneeze at. Then, obviously, Mountain West Media Days get going on Wednesday. That's the introduction to the conference for NDSU, and vice versa, the league's introduction to NDSU. Of course, we'll be out there for full coverage on Wednesday and Thursday to bring you that live, and we'll give you all the details on that as the show unfolds today and tomorrow. But you're wondering, like, what are you talking about? But that's a big deal here for the middle of July, on top of the fact of what happened this weekend of the Major League Baseball draft, which we will focus on pretty good here today. I'm also here to tell you on the 13th day of July that welcome to the slowest sports day of the year. Today is it. Today is without a doubt. And you're saying, well, wait a minute. After the All-Star game, what do we got going? Well, at least Wednesday, we have a World Cup semifinal game, and then Thursday, the baseball season resumes. So today is it. The Home Run Derby is tonight, which I have my own thoughts on because I think many don't know that it's on Netflix tonight. It's been on ESPN for 30 years, longer than that. It is departed ESPN. It's now on streaming only. We'll discuss that. We have some time coming up in the second hour of the show. But let's start with your Minnesota Twins, because we sit here now at the official All-Star break. They have played now 97 games. It's not really the halfway point. They are a game under 500, and they are in the thick of not only the wild card race, but the American League Central race. If you thought that on March 28th when the season began, I got a couple paychecks coming your way, because I don't think anybody, even the most ardent Twins fan, thought that would be possible considering the lack of movement that they had in the offseason in terms of player acquisition and who departed the team last July at the trade deadline. But this team has galvanized itself behind Derek Shelton, its first-year manager. They've got some quality starting pitching. The bullpen, while it has its moments, has found a couple of guys, and there have been some performances that have certainly overachieved this season. That's the best way to describe the first 97 games. They wrapped up the first half yesterday with the Angels, who are bad. They're 20 games under 500 is the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Josh Lowe got the scoring started in the second inning with a bomb off Taj Bradley, who's been one of those pleasant surprises for Minnesota. Trevor Larnach also is in the pleasant surprise category. Corey Provis and I talked about this. It was make or break for Trevor Larnach this season. Delivers with a base hit in the bottom of the third. Ryan Jeffers is back. If he stayed healthy, he's an all-star. Now, is he on this team in 3 weeks' time? We'll find out. He delivers with an RBI double to score Ryan Kreidler and Trevor Larnach. It's 3-1 Minnesota as they play in the third. Denzer Guzman. This is my first Denzer I've ever run across. Hits a home run here off Bradley in the seventh. Cuts it to a 3-2 game. That was it for Bradley. He went 7 innings. Larnach gives Minnesota some much-needed insurance in the bottom of the eighth with a 405-foot shot. That was crushed there. That made it 4-2 in favor of the Twins in the bottom of the eighth inning. Their bullpen would get the job done. Andrew Morris went 2 innings, allowed 1 hit, struck out 2. And the Twins get the win. 4-2, the final. They go 4-2 on this homestand. They took 2 of 3 from Cleveland. Remember, they took 2 of 3 from the Yankees prior to heading home over the July 4th holiday. And they take 2 of 3 here from the Angels. Bradley goes 7 innings. He is 9-3. Give it up for Taj Bradley at 9-3 on the season. He's been really good. 6 hits, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. I mentioned Morris went the last 2 innings to finish it out. All right, so as you wake up this morning, the standings in the American League Central look like this. The White Sox and the Guardians have a virtual tie atop the division. White Sox have played 2 less games than Cleveland. And there are the Minnesota Twins, 3 games back. The Tigers, by the way, have salvaged a little bit of their season. Granted, I know the division is rotten, but the Tigers were once double-digit games behind the White Sox in Cleveland. And then you've got the Royals bringing up the rear. Meanwhile, the wild card race, which, again, I never thought we'd be talking about that on July the 13th. The Yankees, Guardians, and Mariners, and now the Twins have the same record. Seattle and Minnesota are tied at 48 and 49. Mariners have the head-to-head, so they get that last spot as of today. The Red Sox, by the way, can their manager. Alex Cora got fired. They're only a half game back. And then the Astros and the Orioles after that. Again, on the 13th day of July, not expecting this whatsoever, that the Minnesota Twins would be involved in anything postseason related. You got to give Shelton all the credit in the world, and you've got to give the team that as well. The team has been outstanding and overperformed, frankly, on what they've done so far this year. Now, they think they had a really good weekend during the draft. They drafted Von Lackey out of Georgia Tech, who was maybe the best player in the draft. Some think that he might be the next Joe Mauer. That's a preposterous statement probably for some to even hear. I was told, quote, he looks like a shortstop catching. And remember, in baseball, the best athlete on the field normally is the shortstop. So we'll save that for another time when there's more intellectual minds on the Major League Baseball draft that can speak on it than I can at the current time. All I'll say right now, they like what they have there. Now, out of this, what do they do here in 3 weeks' time? because there's two lines of thinking here. You could say, all right, well, they are in it. Can they go acquire a player? Who would they have to give up to maybe go and make a run at a wild card spot? That's the glass half full. The glass half empty, you would say, well, wait a minute. They're in a bad division. Why would they give up any of their young pieces for a rental player that they obviously know they're not going to pay to be here beyond this season? I tend to fall in that category because I've covered this team. I've been around this team for 20 years that I think I know how this is going to go. Or they just stand pat. You'll remember a couple of years ago, the biggest addition they had was Trevor Richards was their addition that they made back at the trade deadline. And he was released, I want to say, 3 weeks after they acquired him. That did not appease anybody. Of course, the Twins fell off the table and after leading the division for 4 months and then gagged it away over the final 6 weeks of the season. I tend to think with this particular group, they're going to stand pat. If anything, they might move Ryan Jeffers, which then they would certainly go the other way. Granted, I know they've played without him for 2 months, but that to me would probably be the move they would make. We'll see. They've been full of surprises. Nearly 100 games in, they've been awfully fun to watch so far this year. Now, I mentioned I was at the game on Saturday, and there was a couple of screenshots that were taken from the drone cameras the Twins TV uses during its broadcast and put them up on social media to lament the crowd. I grabbed one. I wanted to show it from Saturday. Now, full disclosure, it was bleeping hot. Okay? So if you can tell here, down the first baseline and right field where the sun was, and this was the top of the second, so it was blazing down pretty good at this particular time. It was rough to be in the sun. And you can see it was specifically in the outfield and down the left field and third base lines. Cover was a premium option on Saturday, and it was Sunday as well. And I'll just point out, I know the crowds have not been great this season, and there's been good reason for not to go to the games. I think there has been a concerted part of the ownership or the fans are speaking to ownership that we are not spending any more money. I've had several emails over the last 6 to 8 months saying I'm done. I'm not going to spend any more money on this baseball team. And it had nothing to do with Minneapolis or safety or anything. That had specifically to do with the baseball team, that they were furious with the ownership and were done. Not spend any more money to watch the team on television. I'm certainly not going to spend any money to drive down there and go. And sometimes that's just pomposity and just people saying things to hear their own voice. This is actually speaking with their wallets, that we're not going to go to the game regardless if the team is contending. My point on that photo was Saturday. I think the crowd actually was pretty decent. They just were scattered for cover. You couldn't quite tell from that. There were quite a few people either in the Thriving seats, which is the club level, or just out of camera range because they were underneath the overhangs there to try to stay out of the sun. I don't blame them one bit. We did the same thing. Our seats were in the sun. We moved out of it to prolong our stay at the game, which we made it to the bottom of the seventh, which with a 7-year-old, when it's 90-some-odd degrees out, that's a win, man. We take that. 10 out of 10 times you take that. There's no doubt about it. So, team has played well. And now we'll see as we make the turn and come back. The Twins will open the second half of the season with the Cubs. Chicago is good. That's a series at Wrigley Field. So let's see what happens the first week and a half out of the All-Star break. If this team is going to be around or not. Now, the division certainly isn't going to pull itself away. The Twins open with 3 with Chicago and then play 4 with Cleveland. That series of the Guardians is going to be awfully important to start the second half. Then they have the A's and the Royals. They're not very good. That takes us to August. By August 1, a couple weeks from now, we'll know if they're in it or not, because the trade deadline, remember, is later this year. It's on August the 3rd. Real quick, before we get the show set up and rolling, over the weekend, we are now down to the Final Four for the World Cup. The semifinals are set. Will begin tomorrow and on Wednesday. We had France win in its opener. I guess their match against Morocco was pretty, I don't know, lethargic's not the right word, methodical with a 2-0 win. Spain finally allowed a goal. They haven't allowed a goal to anybody. They finally did to the Belgians, but they won that 2-1 on Friday afternoon. And then Saturday, the Norway-England game, everybody in Minneapolis walking. That game was on everywhere. The amount of Norwegian fans were everywhere, at least downtown that I saw. Norway scored first. England tied it. Then we had a couple of goals waved off. It had a little bit of everything. We went to extra time, and England won it 2-1. And then the Saturday night match was a gong show, where Argentina led for 60-some-odd minutes. The Swiss tie it. The Swiss get a player kicked out for a phantom yellow card. And then the Argentines score twice in extra time. That's the weird score. The game went overtime, and yet they won by 2. I missed the golden goal. That was fun. They only did it for like 2 World Cups, and then we're done. As it is, this is like, for non-soccer fans, we have 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four. That's exactly how to describe it. The 4 best teams in the world are the 4 left standing. If you're Fox, if you couldn't have the United States, which you weren't going to get, this is the next best scenario, to have these 4 teams left. So France will play Spain tomorrow. England will play Argentina on Wednesday. Winners will play Sunday in the World Cup final in New Jersey. The game tomorrow is in Dallas between France and Spain. The England-Argentina game will be played in Atlanta. So the homes of the Falcons and the Cowboys are going to get 2 pretty big games. I think Dallas is actually in consideration for the final, and they decided to put it in New York, which, you talk about summer heat, that might be sweltering for that game, which is a 2 o'clock start for the final on Sunday. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday morning. I mentioned we got a lot to get to. We'll salute our best of the weekend. We'll do that in just a few minutes. Also coming up 9:35, our guy Jeff Kolpack will join us. He'll be on site up at the Shack to get us ready for a pretty momentous day for North Dakota State to announce a new agreement with Gate City Bank. We'll talk to Jeffrey about that coming up at 9:30. I mentioned at 10 o'clock we'll take that press conference live. You'll hear from Tim Polasek. You'll hear from Matt Larsen and Kevin Hanson from Gate City Bank about the new agreement that is going into effect here today and what that will look like for NDSU going forward at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Portland, North Dakota can stand up today. They have a MLB draft pick. Crazy. An MLB draft pick is out of Portland, North Dakota. Landon Koenig, who played for 2 years at North Dakota State, spent last year at Ole Miss, was drafted by the New York Mets yesterday. He will join us at 10:35 to chat about getting the phone call and going from Portland, North Dakota. Guy who was so under-recruited, burst on the scene for 2 years with the Bison, spent last year in the SEC, was throwing mid-90s, and now he is off to New York City. Pretty cool stuff. He'll join us to wrap up the show at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more to get to here over the next hour and 40 minutes or so. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend, which also includes another former Bison getting a phone call. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this. All right, best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at this time slot. A lot of nominees here. Mentioned probably the least publicized of any of the professional drafts is the Major League Baseball draft. We talk about this every year when it comes and goes. Because it's in the middle of the summer. People have no idea who these players are to begin with. But then when it comes around, it's a big bleeping deal if it hits your area. And it certainly did in a way that I don't know if anybody expected, even in our own backyard on the north side of Fargo. First round going on Saturday at the Twins game, and I think there were some Twins fans interested to see what they did, and they took as I mentioned, the catcher Von Lackey out of Georgia Tech. And then the draft's going, and my phone starts going crazy in the middle of the first round, and no idea why. Well, the Boston Red Sox have made a pick. I don't care who the Red Sox pick. I want to see who the Mets drafted in the first round, obviously. But the Red Sox had a pick. Well, here's the commissioner, Rob Manfred, to make the pick.
With the 20th pick of the 2026 MLB Draft, the Boston Red Sox select Jake Schaffner, a shortstop from the University of North Carolina.
Yeah, you might know that name. That's Jake Schaffner from Janesville, Wisconsin, and North Dakota State, and the University of North Carolina. Now, we had Jake on the show last month, and we talked a little bit about future plans. Certainly didn't talk about the first round of the bleeping Major League Baseball draft, but that is a really, really neat deal. This is a young man we profiled. We had Jake on the show a few times, obviously during his time at NDSU, and started off, as a freshman shortstop that, nobody recruited. North Dakota State was the only one. He had one offer coming out of high school, and he burst on the scene. He was a standout player, all-newcomer team. He was a first-team selection his freshman year. Followed up, he was the Summit League Defensive Player of the Year his sophomore year. And again, first-team selection in 2025 for that Bison team that won the Summit League tournament championship, then won an NCAA tournament game a year ago. Obviously went on and had a great season at the University of North Carolina and led the Tar Heels all the way to the National Championship Series. They end up losing that. But he was a rock star for North Carolina. Go back and watch our interview with Jake that we did last month. I want to say it was right before the College World Series or Championship Series that got going. And he was great. Red Sox Director of Amateur Scouting, Jake Brummel. We prepare for 20 scenarios. I won't say where this scenario was on that list. We knew what we were getting into. We were very comfortable with it, and for the record, told the smaller room, senior leadership, hey, we're going this route. This is going to be viewed as very off the wall. We were very convicted in our evaluation of Jake and what the pick can provide us through the rest of the draft. So we're in a spot that, it's exciting because we got a player that we love and are excited to join the organization, but have to block out the noise a little bit and make sure we're going to do what's best for the organization. There was definitely some chatter about what are they doing? What is Boston? Because I think many had Schaffner potentially in the second round or third round, but in a first-round pick. And if you're wondering, because each of these spots are slotted monetarily wise, he's making $4.5 million. His draft slot value is $4.373 million. Pretty good for a guy that started here, had no offers. Tyler Oaks took a chance on him, became a first-round MLB draft pick. That's great stuff. Speaking of great, Minnesota Lynx are. While that game was going on Saturday, maybe we should have all taken a lesson and gone over to watch the Lynx play Saturday as they had the New York Liberty in town, game that was nationally televised on ABC. Olivia Miles was back for the Lynx. You remember last week she did not play in their two games. She missed the game against Connecticut last Monday. They lost that game. She missed the game against the Sun on Wednesday. Kayla McBride went crazy in that one. Well, she was back in a big-time way on Saturday, and she was fantastic. Highlights of this one from Target Center, and she's a rookie. And she's probably the best player on the floor. Stop and pop three here early on. Put the Lynx up by 4. Now up by 12. How about another one? 4 of 7 from three-point range to go with 4 assists and 5 rebounds. Again, look at the pull up here from there, the Target Center logo. What are you going to do with that? It's a 4-point lead. Sabrina Ionescu gets going, though. Remember, Brianna Stewart and Ionescu play for the Liberty. Maybe the two best players in the league. This is great. Rotation there. McBride cans a 3. You're hoping Nafisa Collier, saw her there quickly, is going to be back soon for this team. How about another step-back 3 for McBride there with just over 3 minutes to go? It's a 3-point lead here. Big-time offensive rebound. Miles would bring it out. They'd have to foul. Again, that shows you the experience there. The Lynx win it 90-85. They're now 17-6 and have the best record going in the WNBA. They play tonight against Phoenix. That's one of the 2 sporting events that are happening tonight. They're fun to watch, folks. We got half a season to go. If you're not invested, get now, because Olivia Miles is worth the price of admission. There's no doubt about that. 2 other things to get to before we wrap up best of the weekend. Our guy Tom Hoagie was playing not at the Scottish Open, but in Louisville, Kentucky this weekend at the ISCO Championship. Not an event that he typically is played in, because this is frankly for players that either don't have the highest status or didn't qualify to play in the Open Championship, which Hoagie did not. So decided to lace him up and play. Frankly, I was actually surprised when I saw the tee sheets and saw his name on it on Wednesday. Well, he went out and had an awfully good weekend. On Friday, it actually got going. And this is one of, I wouldn't say the miniature golf kind of tournaments where you got to shoot 27 under par to win. It was pretty darn close. But whatever he found a few weeks ago, I think he might be getting it pretty close back. Because he was hunting pins all day on Friday. He couldn't make anything, and that's been kind of the story of his season, is he just has not been able to make any putts. He shot 66 in the opening round, followed up with 67 on Friday. Saturday, moving day, he got going. Thanks to a 33-foot bomb like this. Leapt him up the leaderboard. Then at the 15th, this has always been his jam. I mean, iron plays when he's been really good. That is nice and tight. Would kick in for another birdie. You'll see it here as he finishes off. Hoagie shot 65 on Saturday. He actually got himself all the way up to a tie for 6th. How about one more iron shot? This is the 16th. This is also really, really good. Follow that up. Now, backed up a little bit. You could hear in the mic he was not thrilled that he wanted to stop a little bit earlier. But you know what? When the putter's going, he'd make that. Now, shot even par yesterday, 70. Finishes in a tie for 10th at 12 under. He actually dropped 4 spots yesterday. But it's another top 10. That'll help. Problem is he's 75th in the FedEx Cup point standings. You got to be in the top 70 to make it into the FedEx Cup playoffs. He's got a couple events going. Open Championship is this week, not playing this. Then after that, it's the 3M in 2 weeks' time. Got to make something happen there in the Wyndham to make it into the FedEx Cup playoffs. Lastly, back to that Twins game on Saturday. If you tuned in and the game hadn't started at 1:10, you're wondering what the heck's going on. Well, there's a good reason why. It was Twins Hall of Fame weekend, and they inducted the great Dick Bramer into their Hall of Fame on Saturday. Got to hear most of Dick's speech as we were getting to our seats on Saturday. I will say personally, Dick was a part of this show for 5 years. When we started doing it in September of 2019, the Twins reached out, and we were just on the radio then, and Dick graciously came on for the end of that Bomba Squad year of 2019. For longtime viewers of our show, you'll remember Dick came on in 2020 when we had no baseball. He was on every Wednesday with me when we were talking, we don't know when the season's going to start. Every single Wednesday until whatever it was, late July when they started playing. He was great then. And then obviously for the 3 years after that. I tweeted this out on Saturday. I believe in those early days he really legitimized our show and attracted people that maybe hadn't heard of us, but we had him. And I think every Wednesday, what was it, at 10 o'clock I think he did it, and it was great. And Corey Provis is fantastic, but you could generally sense the outpouring of love and support that he got over the weekend, because he didn't get a farewell tour. He just didn't. He was done after the 23 season for whatever the Twins decided to do there. He didn't get a chance really to say goodbye, so I think that's what Saturday was a lot about. Very cathartic for everybody. You could see he was very emotional when Rod Carew's video came up inside Target Field, and they played that on the broadcast, which he had not seen. Was really, really neat. So shout out to Dumont's own Mr. Dick Bramer, and thank you for the 5 years you gave our show. I will never forget that, especially that COVID year of 2020, because that was fantastic. All right, let's break. We come back. Jeff Kolpack will join us on what's going on with NDSU and its new jerseys. We'll talk about that when Hot Mike returns after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Don Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4. I should have yelled 2.
All right, it is Monday at 9:30. Normally, Jeff Kolpack joins us here in studio. He's actually on location up at the Sanford Health Athletic Complex in anticipation of a press conference that has been called by North Dakota State for 10 a.m. this morning. We're going to carry that live, where we're anticipating a announcement about some sort of jersey patch, something of that nature with Gate City and North Dakota State. As Jeffrey joins us here live this morning, this is a topic that we have talked about. You have written about, I know, way back in May, that this is the new horizon for another part of. We talk all about the newness of what's going to happen in FBS football here in 40-some-odd days. This is another aspect of it, Jeff.
Well, it's about revenue. I mean, that's the name of the game now. Well, it's always been the name of the game, but obviously with FBS and that starts this week with the Mountain West Media Days. That it's you got to find every stream. I mean, we've written about it. Mike's written about the video game with EA Sports and the potential there. It's funny. I'm sitting here on the Zoom, Dom, and I see that football 1965 poster behind you, which I don't get a view of it when I'm in studio. And I'm thinking, wow, how times have changed since 1965 when you think about it. Like, oh, my goodness, that was, there's just no way that Daryl Mutter or Ron Earhart sitting there in 1965 could have ever in their wildest imagination envision what's taking place right now.
Now, let's go through this a little bit. The NCAA signed off on this in early January, and there were some teams that have hopped in. UNLV is one of them, obviously in the Mountain West, that's got a pretty lucrative deal with a medicine-based company that's right in Vegas. Wyoming has one with an energy company out of Kansas. I'm trying to. Who's the other one I'm forgetting here? There's another one that in North Dakota State. I want to say there was one more that actually had a deal, but these are multi-million-dollar deals. These aren't, and from what I've been told, North Dakota State's one is going to be pretty sizable as well, that this is big-time money that's coming that's not anywhere that you could have counted on before.
Yeah, well, and here's my other thought, though, on that, which, yes, they're 4 inches maximum. That's right. as big as you can get on a jersey, but at what point, and it's possible, at least you could have a decal on the back of their helmet for some sort of other company, or I don't know if Gate City would do that, although they have I think, an American flag and a state flag maybe in the back of their helmet. Yeah. And so, well, here's the point. The point is things are getting crowded here. I mean, are you going to look like a NASCAR running around the field, or, a professional golfer with 3 or 4 logos? I think there's got to be, like anything in NCAA football these days, guardrails. So conferences can put some sort of deal together, which the Big 12 did. Right. So you can have one conference logo, one of your own choice, and then you also have to have your conference logo. I mean, you can have a conference corporate logo. And so that's 3. And I think that's enough, is it not? I think so.
You mentioned getting cluttered. I mean, the Mountain West logo has to be on there. The Under Armour is going to want its logo pretty prominently displayed. So, yeah, you're kind of running out of real estate. Air Force, by the way, is the other one. Air Force is a deal with USAA that's also near the $10 million range. So there's some significant amount of money that's being thrown out there right now, and that's, again, the name of the game. You mentioned the Big 12 deal. That got announced last week with Monster Energy that I think there were some critics out there like, okay, how's that going to look? And frankly, about the money or maybe lack thereof. There's 16 schools in the Big 12. I think they're only getting over $1 million to have everything branded with Monster Energy drink.
That's it.
Yeah,
so
from what I understood,
that's change.
yeah,
Jump change for those guys.
Correct.
And that's $1 million a year, obviously.
Yes.
So
yep.
that's, man, Monster Energy paying $16 million a year. It goes to show you the power of advertising and the power of college football. My goodness, it's and this is the world NDSU has joined and has chosen to join, and I think appropriately so. Looking at the FCS, some of the All-American teams that came out today on the FCS, there's only 3-4 teams that to me strike me as really okay. That's some pretty good outfits here. It used to be 10-15.
Yeah,
now you're down to 3-4.
Yeah,
Montana State, Montana, South Dakota State's in there. Illinois State, Youngstown has some good players. UC Davis, I don't know.
Yeah, we've been down that road. I don't know how many times, and now it's a brand new world, and that's part of the excitement of what's to come on Wednesday and Thursday about asking what. It's not only NDSU's introduction to the league, it's the Mountain West introduction to NDSU as well. And I'm really intrigued about what the league has in store for not only NDSU, but for this upcoming season, because Gloria Nevares could very well announce on Wednesday that they've got a jersey patch deal that they're going to institute for the conference, just like the Big 12 did last week. We don't know.
Right, yeah. And I think, Wednesday when she opens her address at 8 a.m., that this is the first day for us covering the league of we don't know what's really goes on here. I mean, so I guess you're a reporter. You just kind of, okay, what's going on today? What do you report on today? What's happening? What are these coaches like? What are these players like? What are the teams like? And so, like, every day we do something with the Mountain West and we're on site like we will be this week. Yeah. It's going to be an education for us too. I mean, we got to fast track our reporters' hats and get the information back to readers and listeners and viewers.
What's one thing you want to find out about from this press conference today?
It's kind of the new world of things, and Gate City's had a long-standing commitment to Bison football and Bison athletics, and so and this is different. This is not a billboard somewhere. This is not your name on the middle of the field. This is
right.
This is a running, jumping, catching, throwing, moving billboard that can be, television. There's 10 nationally televised games and 2 statewide that we're going to do. And so what's the traction for a company in general with that?
Right. That, to me, is the intriguing part, and how long this has been in the process. I'm kind of interested as well. Like, how long has this taken to come to fruition, and what the final product will look like as well when they get announced here in the next little bit.
Yeah. Again, this is just one step. I mean, another step into big boy waters, and so NDSU, they've made all the right steps. I mean, the way they went about this, going even 5-6 years ago, doing it behind closed doors, which you have to through consultants and those things, and so that's the way you have to go about it. Again, just one more step to being in the next level.
I've not had a chance to ask you last week that the Mountain West announced they're not doing a preseason poll. What do you make of that?
I have no problem with that. I don't know if you do or not. I mean, how do you project players from FCS into the FBS world right now from last year? I just don't know how you do that. And UTEP and Northern Illinois and different leagues, how do you project that? So, those teams are, and especially to this day in the transfer portal world where so many teams have so many new players anyway. Maybe we should just do it away with them altogether. I have no problem with that. I mean, yeah, you can do the preseason poll, rank the teams, but as far as the players, I mean, just roll. It's appropriate. This is in Vegas because you just roll the dice on those things.
Well, to me, I guess it's one thing because we've always talked about it. Obviously, it's a talker for us. It's something for us to write about, discuss in June and July before things get going. I think the Big 12 axed it after Arizona State won it when everyone picked them to finish last. Omaha won it in men's basketball, Jeff, you remember last year, and they were picked last. Did I feel bad about it? No. You're taking a literally a flyer on things. I will say this, to your point on the amount of FCS guys. I mean, there are 4 teams in the Mountain West. They're going to have former FCS guys as starting quarterbacks. That's nearly half the league. That's a big number.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and pretty good quarterbacks. I think. E.J. Colson at UTEP. The kid from Western Carolina is going to be. It sounds like the Northern Dickens. The Northern Illinois quarterback. Then you obviously got Nathan Hayes, who's anybody from NDSU. Who's the other one?
Tyler Hughes from William and Mary is going to be the quarterback of Wyoming. So, I mean, you've got there. That's the progression of things, though. If guys from the group of 6 make the jump to the Power 4, then the group of 6 is harvesting the FCS guys. So there may be a lot more names we're familiar with than we thought, just simply because of what these teams are trying to replace their lost talent with.
Yeah, it comes down to recruiting. And so, and I've been asked that over the summer, will NDSU recruit different and will they expand it? And my answer is, why would you?
Yep.
The teams you've had in the last 10, 12, 14 years were pretty good. And all the NFL draft picks, and you got 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, all the offensive linemen. I go, why would you change that? Totally. I mean, no. And I don't think they have, and I don't think they should.
Last thing here, I know you got to get ready here because the press conference is going to start in about 10 minutes' time. North Dakota State baseball had 2 guys drafted, one in the first round, the other in the 8th round, guy of North Dakota in Landon Koenig. Bison baseball, I texted Tyler Oaks this over the weekend. I mean, it's one you got to identify the guys. I understand they went and transferred, and that's the name of the game. Grant Nelson spent his final 2 years at Alabama. He developed here. Schaffner spent 2 years developed here. Koenig, same thing. It's a pretty big deal to be able to recruit those guys and then have them develop in the way they did. Now they're Major League Baseball draft picks.
Yeah, I saw NDSU on their social media account, I think their Baseball X account, promoted that, and they should.
Absolutely.
They said, hey, we were the school that took these guys and developed them, and so if you think you're not, we'll develop you. Come here, and this is their theory, and appropriately so. Come here if you're not recruited highly. I think you can do some things here. We've proven it with players and moved on. And
totally.
You have to embrace that, just like Dave Richmond has embraced recruiting the portal. You either embrace it or move on and do something else. So good for them.
I'll say this, like for both Koenig and Schaffner, they had little to no offers. Maybe one of them, and was at NDSU. That I know, and that hurts a lot of Bison fans' feelings. Like, wow, okay, well, great. He didn't stay here. But they also led him to a Summit League Tournament championship and an NCAA regional win. I mean, that's kind of the trade-off nowadays, right?
Well, yeah, and a lot of times, Dom, you get kids who are multi-sport athletes, and you bring them here and you do something all year round.
Right.
Things change, and things change, and things, when you're working on one thing all year round, look at Bison track. They get these guys who and gals who have 3-week seasons, in the spring, and that's it. And how can you really develop in 3-week or 4-week seasons in the spring in high school? You bring them here, they have natural talent, and you tap it out of them.
And I also look at it, last thing before we go, on like on the basketball side. Like Dave Richmond got him a Summit League Tournament championship, went to March Madness, played Michigan State. You lost that team, but would you trade that experience knowing you brought all those guys in? You'd make that trade every day of the week.
Yes. Yeah. And I think what I can tell, he did a pretty good job again this year. Yep. We'll see next, when the season gets going, but he's found his formula, and that's what it has to be.
No doubt about that. All right, you got to get to work. Thanks for doing this, and we'll see you Wednesday in Vegas, all right?
Sounds good. All right, see you.
There he is, Jeff Kolpack, joining us each and every Monday. He's about to cover the press conference that's coming up at the top of the hour. We'll break so we can get on time, and we can cover that for you coming up here at the start of our second hour. As we wrap up hour 1 of Hot Mic, we're back on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Thanks to Jeff Kolpack for giving us a few minutes there. We mentioned we're going to hit the press conference coming up here at the top of our second hour. We'll be live up at the Shack. You're going to hear from North Dakota State Athletic Director Matt Larsen, head football coach Tim Polasek, Gate City Bank President Kevin Hanson on we would imagine it's going to be something to do with uniforms and patches. Not confirmed on that, but I think that would be something of stand to reason. That's likely where we're going to go with this. But A lot of questions I have on it. A, about what it looks like, what the process was to make this happen, when it got started, when it'll be available. Obviously, the financial parts are certainly curious to us, and length of the deal. All of that are, I think, viable questions, and hopefully we'll get some answers on that when it begins. But this is, again, I'm looking the amount of schools. There's 2, 3 in the Mountain West, 1 in the Summit League that has us. Now, there's not a whole lot of schools out there that have broached this, and NDSU is going to be one of the first, certainly upper Midwest, to do this. Wisconsin did it with Culver's just a few weeks back. So let's break. We come back, start of the second hour. We'll hit that press conference up at the Shack and find all those answers out when hour 2 of Hot Mike begins on this Monday morning. We're back after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us on another pretty special day in Bison Athletics. I think to say that the last 6 months has been a whirlwind is probably a little bit of an understatement when you talk about just Bison Athletics and the things that have transpired. And all good things in a lot of really positive ways. But so want to just kind of just recount the last 6 months here quickly. So February we announced we accepted an invitation to the Mountain West Conference, and we're going to begin our transition to FBS. A month later, men's basketball won the Summit League and played in the NCAA tournament. We won the Summit League Commissioner's Cup for the best overall athletic program. Our student athletes continue to just crush it in the classroom with a 3.506 cumulative GPA. The Division I cabinet voted to change the legislation for teams transitioning from FCS to FBS and allow us to compete for postseason in year 1. The NCAA approved our reclassification application. We've generated over $28 million towards our transition to date and had an incredibly successful 701 day as we officially became FBS on July 1st. And today we're here to announce another important moment in the history of Bison Athletics. I was thinking a lot over the weekend about, I've been at NDSU for almost 12 years now, and the amount of change that's occurred at NDSU in Bison Athletics and across the NCAA landscape, and just thought I'd touch on those a little bit. And because honestly, for us to stay competitive, we had to continue to evolve and invest at every step. And you think back years ago when we implemented full cost of attendance to support our student athletes. Then you had Alston Awards tied to academic performance. The creation of the transfer portal and the elimination of the year in residence requirement. The evolution of name, image, and likeness and institutional revenue share. And then obviously the constant conference movement and realignment. So much change in a relatively short period of time. But when I think back across that whole transition in time and change, the one thing that hasn't changed is the level of support that Gate City Bank provides to not just Bison Athletics, but across NDSU and our entire campus. And that stretches into our community. And so Gate City Bank has been by our side for our entire Division I journey. And that support spans capital projects. I think about the football offices over at the Fargo Dome, the Gate City Bank fueling station here in the Shack, and then, of course, their support of the Nodak Insurance Company football performance complex, in addition to operational support for our programs. And so today we're here to announce that Gate City Bank has agreed to be the exclusive jersey patch sponsor for Bison Athletics. It's a multi-year sponsorship across all 16 varsity sports. The relationship with Gate City Bank has been beyond a transactional relationship. I think from Steve to Kevin to Amy to Chris and all of their staff, it's been a friendship, it's been a partnership, and certainly appreciative for that. So a sincere thank you to Kevin Hanson, Amy and Chris. Appreciate all your support, your continued friendship, partnership, and more importantly, your belief in Bison Athletics. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank Josh Hartman, our GM for Bison Sports Properties, and Troy Gergen, our Senior Associate AD, who were instrumental in kind of leading the effort in this process for identifying the right jersey patch partner, and certainly feel like they hit it out of the park with and got us here today. And so in closing, I'm excited to see the uniforms for the first time, and we'll see them here in a little bit. And are confident our student athletes will represent Gate City Bank as well as they have represented NDSU. So thank you.
I just want to say thanks to the leadership here at North Dakota State. Obviously, this isn't important. It's a big deal. how our jerseys look, our uniforms look across the board in all sports. The Bison and the tradition of it is very critical to us. The one thing I wanted to comment on was Matt and I have had some real travel opportunities over the last month with different events, and as I wasn't a huge part of this, but as I was getting keyed in to how the process was going, it was really clear that this wasn't going to be a transactional negotiation for the most money possible. And the one thing that I'm super excited about is just NDSU, the university, sports. We've always done certain things a certain way, and it was really critical for us not to only find this, that, and the other thing, but the right partner. For so long, we're so grateful for the partnership that we've had. The difference Gate City Bank has made in just our recruiting with our recruiting department over the last year has been phenomenal, and appreciate it very much. And the relationship is one that we value on behalf of the whole athletics department and sports staff. We thank you very much and appreciate it. Look forward to the future. It's exciting.
Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Coach. Well, good morning, and thank you for being here today. On behalf of Gate City Bank, I want to say how proud we are to stand alongside North Dakota State University as a longtime partner and supporter. For decades, Gate City Bank and NDSU have worked together to make a positive impact, not only on campus, but throughout our region. We've seen firsthand how NDSU develops future leaders, strengthens our workforce, and helps build vibrant communities across North Dakota and beyond. As NDSU enters this new exciting era, Gate City Bank is honored to be part of the journey. We are grateful for the trust, the collaboration, and the shared values that define this relationship. We look forward to continuing to work together in support of students, innovation, and a stronger future for our communities. Thank you, and go Bison.
Questions for Matt or Tim or Kevin?
How much is it for, Matt? Length and money?
Yeah, so it's a multi-year, and I think with most of our corporate sponsorships, we don't release dollars or terms, and a lot of that it's for a couple reasons. One, out of respect for our partners, and then two, and probably more importantly, in terms of opportunities to renegotiate down the road when it comes back on the market. So it's historically something we've worked with Learfield and Bison Sports Properties not to disclose those terms. So we're gonna move forward with that as well here.
And then what's the money going to be used for specifically?
Well, it's part of our overall Learfield partnership. So Learfield controls all of our multimedia rights. This is new inventory though, and so as we're looking to transition to FBS and what that costs, this is going to go help support that.
Some schools have broken it up among sports that have, there's only a dozen or so that have done this across Division I so far. Was that a consideration, or was it all going to be one sponsor?
I think for us, and Tim touched on it a little bit too, as Troy and Josh and I had conversations, this was a really important process for us because it was very much about aligning us with a company who has similar values and believes in, is very much North Dakota, gives back to the community and very engaged. So it was really important, and I think there's something to be said about let's find a partner that we want to span across all of our jerseys. So instead of going sport by sport, we wanted to find somebody that exclusively would support all of our programs.
Is this something that is just an FBS thing? I know that FCS schools can do it. I think your alma mater is the first FCS school to publicly have a jersey patch. But would you have done this in FCS as well, or is this just an FBS thing?
We definitely would have. I mean, I think, again, as all athletic departments nowadays are looking for new revenue streams, and it's not your traditional ones where it's ticket sales or straight donations. You have to look at what other things are possible and what else is out there, and so this is certainly one of those. Again, I go back to, it wasn't about just doing it to do it. It really was about trying to find the right partner. As Tim mentioned, I'm probably the most, and the staff gives me a hard time, I'm very much traditional about our look, and when you turn on TV, you know it's the Bison. And so for us to stray from that, and that's why it was really important to make sure we found the right partner. But I mean, obviously with the transition to FBS, is the visibility becomes much greater. When you're talking 10 nationally televised games versus, one in the regular season at the FCS level, the ability to get that brand and that messaging out there is much greater.
So you're not going to blue uniforms then for games?
No.
I think you're allowed a sticker too on the helmet. Is that a possibility?
We are, and I know Josh and his team are having active conversations with other companies again, and I would just say that's something that we're going to be really particular about as well. Part of it came down to, if you can't find the right partner, let's not have one. And so I think the same will hold true with a helmet sticker as well.
Where are these revenue streams? 2-3 years ago, when you're really getting into this FBS talk, is this stuff kind of just coming?
Well, a lot of this stuff has really evolved in the last year or so, between jersey patches, between additional corporate logos allowed on fields and courts. This is all within probably the last 6 months to a year. Just even talking with Troy Gergen, the amount of licensing royalty you get from being in the EA Sports game. Mike, I know you've been playing all weekend, so.
Actually, it was, which is really
That's
sad.
what I know. And so there are some new revenue streams that being FBS unlocks. But a lot of these things are just things that the NCAA says, hey, we have to loosen the reins because schools need to be able to generate revenue in some different ways.
Kevin, what's the attraction to partner with an athletic program?
Well, I still remember when we first did Gate City Bank Field. I think NDSU was 3-8, and we understand win and losses are important, and athletics is important. But we just really appreciate the development at NDSU. I've had the opportunities to visit with the students on campus. You go to press conferences. The type of students that are here are the future leaders, and for us, it's giving back and investing in the future. Like I said, I mentioned it supports our workforce. It aligns with our culture of having high expectations and giving back.
This is to me, it's like a golfer, a PGA Tour. Did you talk to people who see the value in that, in other athletes or other sports, or that wear mobile, if you will, patches?
Yeah, I think the patches are certainly, we're proud of it to have it on there, but to me it's the investment we're making and the ability for it to make a difference in our communities. Like I said, I've seen the students that come out of here, they're future leaders. They do great things for the state and around our region. So the patch, yes, it's cool, it looks nice, but it's really the investment and what it represents.
Coach, we've talked about the challenges and negatives of all the changes that have happened to college athletics. What's it mean to be part of what seems to be a positive change for you guys?
Well, I think you got to look at everything like a positive opportunity. They're all challenges in front of us. Obviously we're wrapping up a little bit of off time and getting around our players, and I know our coaches are excited, but that's going to be our viewpoint on all this. There's a very specific plan, a calendar plan that's been laid out, but there's going to be a process to this that I think on the other side of it, once we can learn and grow and capitalize on situations like this, with great partners, we've got a chance to really move this program, this city, and this state forward.
And then, Matt, for you to be able to see not only football, but go out to the track and field and see the athletes wearing the Gate City patch, or bank patch, what's this mean to you to know that this is a new chapter for NDSU athletics?
We always talk about just brand affiliation and wanting to partner with great institutions or great businesses or you name it. And so to be able to have the Gate City Bank logo next to the Bison logo, I think is really powerful. You talk about two great institutions in the state of North Dakota side by side on the same jersey is really impressive. And what it speaks to, too, is kind of our philosophy at NDSU, and certainly Gate City Bank's philosophy is it's not about investing in one sport or two sports. It's about investing across the portfolio of all of our sports. And it was neat. I got to see our 4 student athletes that you're going to see here in a second, to see a women's soccer player and a volleyball player sporting the Gate City Bank logo is really special. And again, it just speaks to who we are as an institution and who Gate City Bank is as an organization.
Tim, what can you say about the support you've seen even within the last month, 701 day, and now this partnership, and what does that mean for you as you get ready for this transition?
Yeah, it's been awesome reconnecting with people. I'm thinking about the foundation event out in Bismarck was phenomenal. I thought that was a first-class run operation, and then you follow that up, being out west. I mean, I was out west with new supporters. A new supporter guided us on a fishing trip. Those are the little things that mean a lot to us. And then you go to an event at Dickinson, and I think 40 to 50 people showed up. So 701 day was phenomenal. I think this is a really nice wrap up to the summer. We don't want to take away from what today is, and it's moving this partnership with Gate City Bank forward. It's been a great summer. I'm excited, and our staff's back there. I'm excited personally to do some football. I feel like I've been away from ball for a while, and I have caught up a little bit, but all exciting things. We're going to stay and we're going to attack the process. We're not going to trust it. We're developing a new path and can't wait for Jacksonville State.
I don't think it's a secret that sports fans haven't always been the biggest supporters of jersey patches, but what would your guys' response be to fans that maybe don't understand, why you put the Gate City Bank or any patch for that matter on the jersey? What would you say to fans that don't understand it?
I think the biggest thing I've learned from our fans, and our fans are probably a lot like I was, very traditionalist, whether it's NIL or whether it's some of these changes to college athletics that for decades was very much the same. And I think what I've seen from our fans and our donors and our folks in the community is that I think they're starting to understand that some of these changes in the NCAA are here to stay. And so if we want NDSU athletics to continue to be competitive at a national level, compete for NCAA championships and NCAA tournaments, these are the types of things that we need to do. And hopefully they trust in that we're going to do it the right way. We've done, our NIL is about earning it, partnering with the right jersey patch partner that makes sense for North Dakota and North Dakota State. And so I think that's the piece, probably my biggest takeaway is I think our fans understand that times are changing and either we need to evolve and continue to move forward or we're going to start to fall back. And so that's what I've seen probably in the last year or so as we've had conversations. I think the tide is turning and their level of support and understanding of this has been really positive.
There's still an opportunity for the conference to have a patch as well?
That's correct. Only for the championship. They can have it for the They can have it for the championship. There are two. Every school can have two jersey patches. Now, some like the Big 12 are choosing to have one of those two be a conference patch, but they can also have a conference championship patch as well.
Is this quite the undertaking to put a bunch of patches on jerseys, or is that already done?
Well, I know, and honestly, I mean, I should have said this before, but Nate and Brett and Christian and our equipment staff have done an unbelievable job of this is a pretty quick turnaround. A lot of it was we have media day the next 3 days in Vegas and wanting to make sure we had this in place. But again, that spans across every single uniform that we have here with 425 student athletes, probably 3 or 4 uniform combos. That's a lot of patches. And so a real shout out to those guys to make sure we're getting that all done.
We have the Gate City Bank team back there, and that's what they've got a sewing room all on. They thought they were just coming for a press conference, but
other duties as assigned, right? So, yeah.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Cue the student athletes, right? Hey, Ryan, do you want to introduce our student athletes, or just so everybody's aware?
From left to right, we have Kelton McCaslin, Mackay Collins, Laura Jansen, Gabrielle Garrett.
It's a pretty good-looking group up there, isn't it? I told them all this is just the start to their modeling career. Great future for all four. So, yeah. Any questions for our student athletes? Not to put you guys on the spot, but you guys are used to this.
What do you guys think about them? The look now adding a sponsorship onto this.
I like it.
It's a good look.
I was going to say someday. Something else to look at.
It was interesting. One of the things we heard from student athletes nationally was they didn't want to look like NASCAR. And that was something very important to us too, and that's where trying to find a partner that wanted to do it across the board and to only have one, I think as you look, it's a really neat and clean look. And it's as far away from NASCAR as you could possibly get, but I think it's done really tastefully. So, awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, so there's the proceedings up at the Sanford Health Athletic Complex. As it's become official that North Dakota State and Gate City Bank are in an exclusive agreement that they will be the exclusive patch sponsorship for all Bison sports beginning this fall. Multi-year agreement. The financials are being kept under wraps, according to Athletic Director Matt Larsen. And it appears that's probably going to be it in terms of the patches. You saw there for football and volleyball and soccer. Those are the first sports out of the chute here. Larsen intimating that wanted to have this done before the team embarks for Mountain West Media Days to unveil that, obviously, in Las Vegas later this week. They wanted to make sure that was good to go. And so there it is. You heard it from Kevin Hanson as well. This is something that that entity has had a long-standing agreement with NDSU. Gate City Bank obviously has its name on the football field, has for the better part of a decade and a half, going back to when they changed the turf. 2011 to 2012 is when Gate City Bank started putting its name on the turf, from the old brick turf they had to what they currently use. Well, we're now like the third different turf since then. But point is that that's when they switched it over. And long-standing agreement there. And they are one of the very few schools that are doing this. I was just looking. Sports Business Journal put out a list of schools that are currently have patches for their athletic teams. And you can read it here. Air Force, Arkansas, Army, the Big 12 does. And you heard Larsen talk about the question from Mike McFeely about if the league would do anything. And it doesn't sound like the league will. They obviously will have a patch for the conference championship game, but luckily not for the season. Brown does for its rugby team. George Washington, Kansas, Louisiana Monroe, LSU, Marshall, Memphis, Michigan State, New Mexico State, Oklahoma State, Omaha, which is the only other Summit League team. Omaha has one for its men's hockey team and men's basketball teams that they have a patch. Stephen F. Austin, Stony Brook, UNLV, South Florida, Utah Valley, San Antonio, Washington State, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Wisconsin paired up with Culver's not that long ago for football, men's basketball, and men's hockey. And it's different. This is different as well for all of its sports. Some are just for football, men's basketball, women's basketball. UNLV is. Wyoming, same. Football, men's, and women's basketball is what they are partnered up with Tallgrass, which is an energy company out of Kansas. So there it is. Much more on that coming up our news today at 11 and coming up tonight on our news at 6 and 10. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up here in a couple. Landon Koenig coming up here at the bottom of the hour from Portland, North Dakota. Newest New York Met draft pick. Much more on this Monday morning edition of Hot Mike. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. One other note out of the press conference that you heard there, Kolpack asked on the helmet part, that sticker there, that that's something they're exploring as well. So we may not be done totally on the new adornments that are coming to the Bison jerseys for this year. So you saw with Kelton McCaslin, Mackay Collins were there, along with Lauren Jansen from the volleyball team, that specifically on the football jerseys now, that you have the Mountain West logo is here, and for those listening, on the right side, shoulder, collarbone area. The Gate City logo is on the left side, collarbone area. The Mountain West is right in the middle logo, right in the middle of the chest. That you're out of real estate there, but sticker on the back of the helmet helmets are one thing that's seen every play, every down, that you have a chance to look at that. I know that was a big deal when they put out the harvest helmet, the stalk of wheat on the back of the helmet, that you think, well, how big a deal is that? Actually, it is kind of a big deal when you see it almost in every play when a player turns or whatever like that. So that's something to keep your eyes on. But the Bison are now fully, I think, FBS world is now here. If you thought they were just tiptoeing into it, that is not the case. That they are now eligible for the postseason. You heard Matt Larsen rattle off. Eligible for the postseason in the league. NCAA application approved. They've got their first game now in 47 days with Jacksonville State. It is on, and they are looking like it and coming for it. They're in the video game. I can't wait for McFeely to come in tomorrow to tell us all about his experiences on the EA game. But this is as real as it gets, folks. And now the next step comes Wednesday in Las Vegas at Mountain West Media Day. All right, we'll break. We come back. We'll shift gears, talk some ball. Landon Koenig will join us from Portland, North Dakota, the newest member of the New York Mets organization. Drafted yesterday, he'll join us when hour 2 of Hot Mic rolls on after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back, everybody. Seems appropriate to have the Mr. Met logo bring us back for our next guest. As we talked about, the Major League Baseball draft came and went. Shortened it down, which is a whole other story we could get into at another time. But have North Dakota State not only represented once but twice yesterday was a big, big deal. Obviously, Jake Schaffner, former Bison, selected in the first round. We highlighted that in our Best of the Weekend to start the show. Then later on in the 8th round, the actual state of North Dakota represented. Another former Bison, Landon Koenig, was drafted by the New York Mets after spending 2 years with the Bison this past year at Ole Miss. And now he's on his way to Port St. Lucie, which is the home of the Mets spring training facility. He'll be on his way, I believe he told me, tomorrow. But first, he does his first interview with us after getting drafted yesterday. It's great to see you, boss. Congratulations. Give us what happened yesterday. Take us through when the phone rang, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, thank you. So I kind of knew a little bit before, a few picks before, I got the call from my agent saying that, Mets wanted me at their pick at 240. And then from there, the pick went on the TV. Whole family was there, we were cheering, and we were all happy. Then they called me right after, just said congratulations, and they're excited, and I was pumped. Then kind of just took it in the family for the day, and it was awesome.
So there was no drama. You knew they were going to take you?
Yeah. Yep.
That's wild. That's so different than the other drafts. Then you don't know who's gonna take you. Had your agent told you, were the Mets interested? Was this out of left field?
Yeah, I think the Mets were in, and there was a bunch of teams that we thought could happen. It was just kind of up in the air where, kind of how I fit in their board and how that worked. But yeah, it's fortunate the Mets take me, and yeah, I'm super excited.
All right, so we haven't had a chance to chat here since basically last year. So give me the thought process. Was this on the radar of getting drafted? Did this come out of so to speak, out of thin air? Or where was the draft speculation going throughout this past year?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the whole point of transferring down to Ole Miss was to, for my career in pro ball and kind of given the opportunity, I wanted to take it and, bet on myself again and go take that opportunity. And I think this is just a testament to that. And the coaches are great at Ole Miss. I mean, they got me to this point, and, just having the hard work ethic and the kind of the North Dakota traits that a lot of kids up here have. I think it's been super cool, just kind of given the opportunity and going and be able to work hard at it.
You mentioned to be able to sit with the fam yesterday. What went through your mind just to sit down and take everything in?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. I mean, there's not many kids in North Dakota that get this opportunity. So it's kind of taken back and just seeing how it is. It's pretty special. I mean, I've had phones been blowing up, and just the love I've been getting from the people back home, people all over Mississippi and Oxford. It's pretty special. I mean, the people that I have around me made it great.
I want to go back because we talked when I interviewed you a few years ago about the recruiting process. For people who don't know, can you tell us about that, about how NDSU found you?
Yeah, so basically getting to NDSU was I went to a prospect camp there, and I had some D2 offers, and chose to take a preferred walk-on to North Dakota State. Just again, kind of betting on myself and betting on my work ethic and the potential I had. So go there. Started my freshman year, and then pitched out of the bullpen my sophomore year. Then just had a lot of growth. Just kind of matured. And then, yeah, I took that next step. But yeah, high school recruiting was definitely something else up here. Yeah.
Landon, people probably don't understand how it works for Major League draft picks now. Like the NFL, you have the offseason and then you start playing. Basketball, same thing. Baseball's different. So what's the timeline like now?
Yeah, so basically I'll go down to Florida tomorrow, do all the on-take stuff. So I'll basically be a bunch of meetings, meet all the guys, get familiar, just kind of have the first impressions. And then from there, it'll be building up. And then I think it'll be different for different guys. But from there, they'll either keep building you up and have some pens and live at-bats and some scrimmages, then maybe go ship out to play some games later in the year, but there's not a whole bunch left in the season, so it kind of just varies guy to guy.
I was just going to say here, it's the middle of July. The minor league seasons end late August, early September. So is there a chance you play, or is that probably remote and you're looking towards 2027?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. I've been throwing still, so for me, it's just building back up and kind of getting to that point, and still going through the bullpens, the live scrimmages, and just staying healthy. That's the main thing. Not rushing in anything. But I think for me, I want to go compete. I'm eager to get out there again.
You got drafted by a major league team. If I would have told you that 2.5 years ago, would you have believed me?
No, it's wild.
Just the thought of that, what made the long days, the bullpen days, all the travel for travel baseball, does that make it all worth it now of what happened yesterday?
Yeah, it's kind of came fast. You say 3-4 years ago, I was a basketball kid. That's what I wanted to do. Then I switched to baseball, and I've just been taking it one step at a time. And I mean, it's been a huge blessing, just the opportunities I've been able to have, and the people around me. I mean, just it's kind of crazy, but I'm so blessed for it.
You're back home, so tell me, you've been back home a couple of days. What has it been like in Portland, North Dakota, to have this happen when you've been back home?
Yeah, I was at the farm in Page. It was just cool. I mean, the family, I'm so grateful for them. They're so supportive. They've been great. I've been surrounded by a great group of people, and it's just been really cool. Everyone's kind of telling me to take it in, and just the draft and this whole process, and just my last kind of 2 months been pretty chaotic, and just trying to slow it down and take it all in has been kind of the big one. It's just such a cool opportunity.
All right, let's back it up from before the draft. That I had Jake Schaffner on, and we were texting. We just couldn't connect during the week of the College World Series. That you go to Omaha, and then of course, who's Ole Miss playing? You're playing North Carolina. What was that like to see your old buddy on the opposite side?
Yeah, it was so cool. We got there before, and we had a practice. We practiced right after them, so I got to see Jake then, and we met up. We were staying in the same hotel, so we met up a few times, and we were talking. It was just cool. We were just talking about the last year and catching up, and it's just pretty cool. We've both gotten some crazy opportunities, and taking advantage of him, and obviously Jake. I mean, he's a first rounder, and he had a great year, and they went really deep this year, so it's super cool. I mean, it was just a crazy experience.
You had the opportunity to pitch down at Arkansas in the SEC. Give us life in the SEC baseball. Is it as crazy? Is it as good as we think it is?
Yeah, it's a grind. It's 30 battles. It is. It's war every day. Every game you're playing. You're playing a top 25 team every weekend. It is the best. There's guys that don't pitch much that'll go, and I mean they're really good, and they're gonna have long professional careers. It's cutthroat. It's every pitch matters. It's 9 innings full. There's can't skip around it. But it's awesome. And the just experiences the fans bring, stadiums, the atmospheres you get to enjoy. It's pretty surreal.
All right, you got to pitch in Texas and Florida and Tennessee. Is there one that you wanted to pitch that you didn't get a chance to this year?
God, I think I wanted to pitch versus State at Swayze. I think that's the one that if I could look back on, just from the regular season, that would be the one. That was a pretty cool environment. The weekend didn't go our way, but just the way the fans are and that in-state rivalry, it's pretty unique.
I asked Jake this, and it's different. Jake's a Wisconsin guy. You're a North Dakotan. So how often did you get the question of, you guys can play ball in North Dakota? Like, how often did you deal with that after you got to Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think just describing how baseball works up here was pretty unique. Like, you know, the guys down there, they can play baseball all year round.
Yep.
And I'm telling them, like, I pick up a ball in February and, you know, I'd play for 4 or 5 months and set it back down because I'd have 2 other sports to worry about. And I'm talking the class sizes and just how small it is. And they're just like, how do you guys even live up there? So it was pretty cool, just kind of telling them how it is. And it was pretty weird compared to their stories.
I know we talked when you announced you were going to the portal. And I think after you announced you were going to Ole Miss, you mentioned it earlier, this is the payoff of why you did it. Did you hear any, either from family or friends, like, hey, why are you leaving NDSU? You got a chance there. You're a North Dakota guy. Did you have that feedback of what are you doing, or doubting yourself of going in the portal?
Yeah, I mean, not really. I think from my inner circle, it was pretty strong support. Yeah. But just, I mean, yeah, from the outside, I mean, there's tons of opinions all the time about that stuff. But I think for me, just like staying centered in what I believe I can do. And then again, just going and betting on myself. I think that's the most important thing, especially a baseball player can do. Because, you know, there's so much behind the scenes that baseball players do, especially pitchers. You know, the process is just so important. I think taking that next step and just keep working on the process will ultimately get you to your goals. So.
Okay, so you go to the College World Series, you got drafted, sandwich in there, you got engaged. Congratulations, first off.
Sir,
and
thank you.
I mean, that's another major moment. How'd that go? Give us the whole plan there.
Yeah, so me and my now fiance, we went to Portugal for a week between Omaha and coming home. We just needed something to take a break and have some relaxation. So went over there, got engaged. It was awesome. It's so beautiful over there. The heat wave was tough. It was really hot, and you know, I had no AC, so it was pretty warm, but it was beautiful. It was definitely a week to remember forever.
How did the presentation go? Any worries on that? Everything goes smooth on that?
Well, yeah, thankfully I found a photographer over there, and she knew English, so she helped me out. That was big time. I don't think I would have got done without her, but it went flawless.
That's awesome. So you mentioned you're leaving bright and early tomorrow morning. What do you got planned the rest of the day here to soak up before professional life begins tomorrow?
Yeah, not much. Just trying to soak in the time back home, take it slow before the chaos ensues. Probably gonna go see some more family, and you know, have maybe a dinner, and you know, get ready for the early morning.
Last thing before we go, to have 2 guys from NDSU drafted, Landon, how big a deal is that for Bison baseball?
I mean, it's huge. I think for me, my goal has been to show guys that you know, it doesn't really matter how small of a school you come from. You can go do whatever you want. There's everything out in front of you. You just got to go chase it, take the risks, take the opportunity. And I think just kind of NDSU and North Dakota kind of embodies that. So it's super cool. I know me and Jake are super thankful. I mean, I'm super proud of him. It's just been crazy for both of us, and it's super cool opportunities.
All right, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to say it on the air. Everybody knows my allegiance to my favorite baseball team. You make it, there's a number 33. We'll get that framed in this studio, okay? I'll make that guaranteed happen right now, all right?
Love it. Awesome.
Thanks so much for doing this. Congratulations. Enjoy the last little bit at home. You say hi to your mom and dad for me, and safe travels and good luck, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
There he is, Landon Koenig from Portland, North Dakota on the farm in Page, and now a member of the New York Mets organization, drafted in the 8th round. I'm just looking at Mets that wore number 33. Matt Harvey is obviously the most famous 33. And if you would have told me in 2013, he was the starter of the All-Star game at Citi Field. Big deal. I was there for that. I'm not going to tell you the amount of money I spent, but it was worth it because the Mets were hosting the game and the starting pitcher was from the Mets, and he was going to be the biggest thing ever. And we all know what happened. I don't think his number is going to be retired by the Mets. Other number 33s, Gary Sanchez. That was not a great tenure. James McCann. Now, granted, Landon's got a long way to go, but 33 looks like it's available. So we wish him luck, and awesome stuff for a guy that he mentioned it. I remember doing the story two and a half years ago when he was starting to he was the NDSU's number 3 starter at the time as a freshman and was throwing heat at 93, 94, and obviously that materialized into a bullpen role. And I don't know if he was super thrilled about that. He was doing that again at Ole Miss, and maybe that's the role he carves out in his professional route. But, man, the size, the frame, and how hard he can throw, somebody was going to take a chance. And actually, I think he mentioned his representatives are saying he thought it could have gone earlier than even the 8th round. But he's a Met, and we appreciate him giving us a few minutes there here this morning. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things, get you ready. I'd like to say a busy Sports Monday. It's not, but we'll get you ready for it anyway when Hot Mike wraps right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday morning. Tomorrow, heads up for our viewers in South Dakota. We will not be on the air tomorrow. That's because on KSFL will be Missouri Valley Media Day from Sioux Falls. John Gaskins, Matt Zimmer, and the crew will be down at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls, and we'll have full coverage of a day that we traditionally, obviously, we've been at. We were there last year, but obviously we will not be there tomorrow. But you'll hear from all the coaches and relevant players that'll be there tomorrow. The Missouri Valley poll will be out tomorrow. We'll hit on that tomorrow. I want to see the schedule. I want to say that Commissioner Jeff Jackson will address the media. I'm going to see what time everything is at tomorrow, that maybe we can get in on that for a little bit to hear. Because, I know, he addresses the media at 9:15, so we got time. We might pop in on that tomorrow to hear from the league, because obviously the 1,000-pound elephant in the room is that North Dakota State is no longer there, and that will be a topic of conversation. I'm going to tell you right now, if I had a vote, I'd put UND number 1. And I'm not trying to suck up to UND fans, because I already got plenty of grief from UND and SDSU fans over the weekend after the Bison baseball tweets and coverage I had out there. But I would. I think I know their schedule, but I'd stand again. The first off, UND better be 7-1 heading to the back end of their year. I'll just say that right now. Jackrabbits still have some questions to me. And then after that, it's, Youngstown lost some. I know they have Brungard back. Illinois State lost a ton. South Dakota lost a ton. Northern Iowa ain't good. Murray still not great. Indiana State not great. I mean, it's going to be a 3-horse race there at the top of the league. I think Youngstown, I think the Jacks, and I think UND will be the top 3 spots come November. We'll see. Various the stats perform All-American list is out. I have a little FOMO here because we've always been part of this, and now we're not. But the first team quarterback was Bo Brungard. You imagine that. He's the reigning Peyton winner. First team defensive selections was Lance Rucker out of UND. Expect that. He was great last year. Victor Dawson is a second team running back selection. He's back. Charles Pierre Jr. for USD is back as well. So a lot of questions at quarterback throughout that league. But that'll be tomorrow. We'll intersperse a little bit of our coverage here on the show tomorrow out of Sioux Falls. So we'll see what takes place down there at the Pentagon. All right, let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, so I say this with full disclosure here. This is maybe the slowest sports night of the year. The Home Run Derby is tonight, and it is going to look vastly different. It's on Netflix, first off, 7 o'clock. 20 swings in the first round. 4 batters with the most home runs advance to the semis. The semis, you get 15 swings, and the players are seeded based on the first round home run totals, and then the finals, you get 15 swings. I don't think I like this format, but we'll see how it looks on Netflix tonight. The Lynx play again, 8 o'clock on Peacock. It's also on NBC Sports Network if you get that, against the Mercury. And the Wolves play as well in the Summer League tonight. See some more Béranger, 10 o'clock against the Blazers on ESPN2. Our thanks to Jeff Kolpack and Landon Koenig. If you missed the press conference as well, you can stream that coming up later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks for starting your week with us, everybody. Stay cool out there. And we'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.